Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Going Out Looking In, the podcast about the big questions of life, personal growth, and spirituality. My name is Maxi, I'm your host, and I am very excited to speak to you, but also to see you finally. If you watch this on YouTube, you're seeing me already. If you happen to listen to this on Spotify, consider looking on your screen right now, because there will be some video as well accompanying the audio. Because as we are evolving here on the podcast and getting more and more guests on, I want to share their faces with you, and maybe also mine. So it's nice to see you and look you in the eye. Thank you so much for listening. Again, it's really something that I don't take for granted of, people sharing their time, which is such a valuable resource, and their attention, consciousness, awareness. It's all we have on this planet Earth, during our time here. So thank you so much for doing and sharing that with me and us. And I am very particularly excited about today's episode to introduce my guest. I am speaking with Anna Brown. I stumbled across Anna's work on YouTube a couple of years ago, and I was hooked from the beginning, really. I saw a video of her, and you will see her whole YouTube channel is basically just her talking to the camera about non-duality, about the reality of things, about the God within, and the way that she does it is so profound and deep and sincere that I just was really moved and felt very connected to her, and still do so. And that's why I decided to ask her to be on the show, and thankfully she said yes. And we explored a broad variety of topics. Now I'm well aware of Anna being on the on YouTube and sharing her message for quite some time, also on other podcasts. And so I was really thinking, going into this conversation, like, what can I bring to this sort of, like, what can I offer, with this conversation? What kind of twist can I offer? And so I wanted to get to know the person behind. That's what I can say. Because with this podcast, my intention is really to extract really deep wisdom and sort of simplify it, break it down, and then really make it sort of accessible in daily life and integrated. So what does, this big message of non-duality and the nature of things mean for us as seekers in our everyday life? And that was, what we talked about with Anna, what I talked about with her. How does the deep awareness of oneness affect her as a mother of two in parenting? How does she navigate life? What does she think about the current state of the world? How did she even get to this deeper sense of, truth and awareness and reality? We talked about Christianity, about religion, Jesus, the Garden of Eden, and I really got the sense of sort of, meeting her halfway and being able to sort of extract some things that she hasn't really talked about in previous conversations. And for that, I'm very grateful and thankful. And I'm very much looking forward to share this with you. So with that out of the way, just a little bit of housekeeping. I launched my website, maxibartel.com, along with two other websites, one for the podcast, so that is goingoutlookinin.com, as well as my creative agency called Empty Mind Marketing. And that's my business, and that's what I'm doing when I'm not, recording those episodes for you. So I just wanted to quickly let you know that this is what I'm working on. I'm providing marketing services for small and medium-sized businesses, and basically helping people and companies to turn their business into a brand, because that's what really is fun to me. So that includes copywriting, that includes building websites, designing logos, coming up with naming, and a language and a storytelling for brands and people and businesses. So if you're interested, consider checking out maxibartel.com, and from there you will find all the stuff that I'm doing. And yeah, again, thank you so much for sharing your time and space with us. So with that out of the way, I'm very keen to share this one with you. I bring you Anna Brown. So it's absolutely lovely to see you, honestly, to really see you. And I got to tell you, I mean, I don't have the feeling, like, obviously we haven't met in person. Now we met virtually. But, like, I've met you. Like, I see you.
I get you, man. I get you. I understand exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And I told you in that email, but it's really like, you speak, and it's like, in some way, it's like me talking to myself in some way, but it's really like I don't even have the feeling like it's you talking. Like, I don't know you from sort of like, as like the daily person getting groceries or something. It's more like you're channeling something and that's speaking through you. It's unbelievable, really.
So. I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's what you hear you in that space, our timeless essence. And that's why it doesn't matter the appearance or the gender. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah. It's touched the coreless core. You know what I mean? Yeah.
However, I mean, I think it is a quality, though, that you specifically have. So
thanks.
Just wanted to get that.
Well, you're sweet. Thank you for that compliment. Across. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that really, and that's why, that's what got me. And I guess, like, I'm not the only one. Your videos and your content is resonating. So, once I was starting to prepare for this podcast, I was like, wow, I got myself into something here, because we're trying to basically, do the impossible using words, spoken word, to describe something that is, it's hard to put into words, but, nevertheless, I accept the challenge, and you do so ever so graciously and ever so successfully with your content. So, let's go for it.
Let's rock it. Let's do it. All right.
So basically, I'm very curious also. I'm very curious to dive in, non-duality as a concept, and really, hear what you discovered on, your journey and what you're sharing. And how did you become the Anna Brown, or the person you are today? How did that happen?
Well, it just kind of spontaneously happened. You know what I mean? Life found me, and it molds itself. But from a very early age, I was really into the supernatural, the occult, because there was a lot of paranormal activity that would arise in my childhood. So I could see apparitions, objects would float across my room, doors would open and close, and there was just like clear audience and stuff like that. So there was a lot of weird stuff as a child. I was raised Catholic, so obviously that's kind of weird in the Catholic realm. So I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it. But at the age of 7, there was a spontaneous dropping of self-consciousness one night. And there was just the timeless seer in bed, just awareness there. No Anna, no identity, no fractalization of mind. There was just this still, alert, silent seer, right? Oh.
At 7 years old?
Yeah, at 7. Well, what started it, you can say, was I felt inspired laying in bed one night to repeat my name like a mantra. I repeated my name like a mantra until it dissipated. Who's Anna? What's Anna? It didn't make any sense anymore. The word Anna had no meaning, no relevance. And there was just the seer. Spontaneously arose like that. And then, of course, conditioning came back. My depression, anxiety, all of the stuff my mommy and daddy taught me, Catholicism, kind of came back in. But obviously you can't go back. Like when you see those types of things, there's that kind of childhood arising, like you just can't go back to some kind of normalcy. So that led me into the spiritual path, religious paths, therapeutic paths, and just started my own little discovery there. But you could say even throughout the seeking and studying, there would be these very extreme glimpses where it was very, very obvious that we were heaven in disguise, that we were God in disguise, playing with ourselves. So simple, so immediate, so direct. But, as the story goes, what would seem to come in is that kind of anxiety, depression, or OCD of unworthiness of, I gotta find this again. And you could just say, really, it just kind of in and out from a very young age until it kind of settled into this. Yeah.
Right. So when you were talking to those people you met on your path, institutions and whatnot, what did they say? Like, did anyone understand you, know what you're talking about?
Well, I didn't go and open up about this. You could say I wanted to do my own discovery. So in college, I studied religion and I studied, like the Old Testament, New Testament. I went into psychology. So I kind of just went into my own studying discovery. But then, of course, I found social media, and that's where we found like the ascension path and meditation and all the gurus and teachers, right? And then that's where there were some reflections of this is what's happening. This is what's going on. There's shifts and beliefs dying, stuff like that. But always threaded throughout the spiritual therapeutic realm was this idea of I'm not enough yet, right? And I didn't like that. Something within me really did not like that. So, yeah, I did the whole tour of spiritual stuff, but it rested back into this knowing that we are already perfect and perfection explores and dances and plays in this realm of form for its own curiosity and expansion. Yeah. Not because you're not perfect already. This is perfection, and it grows and explores and investigates itself. Yeah.
So powerful. I have to go a little bit deeper into this. So you realize that, so you're laying on your bed in the age of 7. So you have that realization somewhat, and how was that sort of from that first realization, how did that evolve into what it is now and how you're speaking now?
Okay. So you can see it looks like an evolution, but awareness, or what we really are, is a perfect circle. No beginning, no end. So it's perfect. The body dropped stuff. It released stuff. It seemed to evolve into what I was already, which is that perfect seer. So it's really the body that's shifting and molding and dropping things. You are already crystal clear perfection. That's why you can see all that stuff going on. So yeah, you could see it was a process of the body letting things go. But also really what it was just this one little thread, which was self-consciousness. It's doubt. It's like that whole vibration of doubt. And so, yeah, there'd be a little bit of doubt that would come in, fall away. Doubt that would come in and fall away. And then eventually it just met a threshold and doubt just stopped appearing. It just stopped coming up because there was such a conviction within me. And if we're talking about energy, frequency, and vibration, I mean, awareness and what we are, it trumps doubt. It trumps all of those things. So there was such a conviction within me that the weeds couldn't come up anymore. They got choked out by the seer, so to speak, by that natural conviction. Yeah. But it seemed to unfold like a process. I wouldn't say evolution. We say evolution, but we already perfect. The body's just kind of reorientating into your natural energy.
Amen. So in the preparation again for this podcast, listen to more and more your stuff, realizing myself just by language, what I'm doing. It is everywhere. This duality, like start and end, beginning and end, you and I, and da-da-da. It's everywhere. So I didn't have that epiphany like you had. However, I am somewhat, and I need to, even in my second language now with English, I need to try to articulate, something that is equivalent of what we're speaking of, but this space of awareness, that it is there and that it is perfect. It seems to be in somewhat of a collision with how we are in the world, And I mean, so I would be curious because and only if you're comfortable with talking about it, but like you as a mother, how does that? how does
Oh,
that
it
affect,
changes
like,
everything.
how do
I mean, it
yeah, how does that
changes,
affect
yeah,
parenting and whatnot? Like, how is that?
everything has to shift. So, I mean, and that's cool you brought that up. We were actually having this conversation yesterday in one of our little gatherings about parenting and how it shifts everything. But I have very open conversations with Luna, which is 7. Now, my youngest is 18 months. So we're not having that kind of dialogue, right? But no, there's very open conversations, and Luna already has deep wisdom. You know, she has this deep knowing and intuition that it's unique to be her. We can never know what it's like to be her. This is so fleeting. It's such a gift, you know. And she also sometimes will come to me and tell me how she feels like nothing, or I'm everything, mom. So there's already these deep wisdoms in there, you know. And I communicate with her, I reflect to her, but in a very simple, elementary way. But it changes the whole game. So I'm very honest with her that God's everywhere. She's that. It's everything. And, you know, she has that innocent child emotion like, Mom, I'm going to miss you today when I go to school. I tell her, honey, I'm right there in your heart. I'm your very breath. So if you ever have that, you know, just come back here. This is your temple, you know. So it's very straightforward with her, you know. But obviously, she's going to pick up things from school and the world as well. So yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Just what I wanted to, just what I thought. Like, she's going to school, and then there will be people like,
Yeah,
you know who God is. He's, you know, up there,
right.
and you're down here.
Yeah,
So, how,
totally.
like,
No,
is
seriously,
that,
yeah. We're in the
yeah,
Bible Belt, so there's a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of churches, and their teacher talks, you know, they'll talk about Jesus or something like that. There's all those questions, and you know, for a while, brother, she had these ideas of, hey, I kind of want to go check out church, and it kind of faded away or whatever. But we're open to it. Like if she wants to go check something now, we'll go. It's just we're very open to her about what it is. Like this is the belief. This is what this is. People come here because they have this idea and they believe in this man or whatever. So we're very clear with her with everything, you know, but we're open to exploration as well for her. We're not so close minded like you can't step into a church. Like, no, if that's what your heart wants to explore, let's go for it. You know?
I don't have kids as of yet, but I guess, you know, something like what you are describing sounds very, very mature and very,
Thanks,
I
man.
mean, something to strive for, to be honest. Really inspiring.
Thanks.
And when your kid, like, if she's saying something like that, if if she's
Yeah.
like putting on her like her little backpack, going to school and says like, "Mom, I know you're with me. We're all one."
Yeah.
I'll be like,
It's-
"Who are
yeah.
you?" Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
That's adorable.
Honestly,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that being said, you know, religion and because you mentioned, you know, being raised Catholic. I mean, how is your relationship with that kind of stuff? Like,
I
very
mean,
open.
there's beautiful pointings in there. I mean, but it's dogmatic, obviously, and it's very masculine. And there's truths to everything. You know what I mean? But that's been curved. I mean, who wrote the Bible? A bunch of men. So I mean, it's a hand me down of the game telephone. Basically, it's not the original or word, so to speak. But dude, I love Jesus. We're all Jesus, and he was such a badass rebel, and he really just came to say, "Hey, you're all God. You're all Christ. It's within you." You know what I mean? So there's so many beautiful nuggets of truth. That's why I quote the Bible and I break it down esoterically in its true meaning, so to speak, because there is beautiful truths. It's just embellished and it's covered over for a certain agenda. You know what I mean? You have to be like this to be in our group, in our posse. If you're not like this, then you can't come in. You know what I mean? That's not heaven. Heaven is like, hey, everybody's welcome right now. Doesn't matter what you are, what you look like. Like that was the whole message of Jesus anyways. That's why he hung out with prostitutes and heathens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly. I mean, see it very much the same way. I think also, you know, I was the other day sort of spending some time with people very much in tune with plant medicine and Christ consciousness. You know, it's present, it's everywhere,
cool.
and people
totally.
use that word and that's to describe a state that they experienced, who previously haven't really had any relationship to religion per se, monotheistic, you know, philosophy. So seems to be like truth right there in some way. But again, just what you were describing, you know, what we make out of it
Mhm.
and people who are seeing themselves very separate and who are in fact disconnected from that awareness might, turn those teachings into something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, yeah, it's crazy, but very interesting. And
Yeah.
that's why I picked it up, because I've,
Yeah.
seen and heard you speak about, from time to time, the Bible and the teachings, and I just love how you weave
And
that into
thanks.
into
Thanks.
that teachings.
Thanks.
So when you look around the world, when with your two children
Oh,
also on planet Earth and stuff, like what do you think of what's going on with everything that you know about the non-dual space and what and who we
well,
are?
well, the cool thing about it is our worlds are intimate to ourselves. So there's infinite worlds. You know what I mean? And so your world is your body, your world is your mind, your world is your belief in essence. You know what I mean? And so when beliefs drops, there's still an appearance of a world, but you're actually tasting your own essence. You're tasting your own energetic field, your own body, because there is only the one self appearing as all. There's only one consciousness appearing as all. And so your world is your body. And so when beings say, my world is hell, they're being honest. They're experiencing their state of consciousness. But we're speaking of infinity here. So that can shift in an instant. So when we talk about worlds, we're really talking about our own subconscious versus just what is. That's where this gets weird, because we're speaking of a paradox. This is a dream. And obviously dreams can be very deeply personal, you see, but there is only one. It's eternal essence, and it's having non-eternal dreams. So the non-eternal dreams are deeply intimate to one's psyche, the character's story. Yeah.
It seems apparent like that there is some sort of like some sort of separation, some sort of disconnection to I don't know, to solve or to do something about it. Like, I'm a humble student, and that's why I'm speaking to you, because like I wanna generally find out, because and all that oneness, like how does that feel? Is that, and can it be this?
Well, it's just, it feels, I mean, well, if you put it towards a feeling, the mind will chase a feeling. But in essence, what I'm saying is you're God. You are the one consciousness. And this is all tabula rasa. It's like a big blank whiteboard. And when you quote unquote wake up to yourself as awareness or as the seer, you finally take your paintbrush back, your marker back. Instead of being a robot and just drawing what others have told you to draw, it's like, you know what? None of this has any inherent meaning. I say what it is. I say what it is. So that's why there's no final truth. And that's the scary part about this, so to speak, for the mind, because it wants a final truth. That's why it likes religion. Religion has a final truth for you. There isn't one. Every breath is truth. What does that mean, though? For your character, your truth, your heart's desires will be expressed a certain way, and that's your truth. But that doesn't mean that somebody else is. Oneness appears as diversity, like a garden. That's the whole Garden of Eden analogy. So you may be a rose, maybe a sunflower, and that's going to express uniquely. You know what I mean? And so that's your truth. But if a rose goes, I don't look like a sunflower, then we're trying to mimic truths, but there is no final truth. Your truth is your heart's beat. It's whatever makes you smile and dance and happy. Like, that's the truth. That's the zest of beingness. And there is no purpose. Purpose is just to live, to enjoy life, to be, and however that takes shape. But if you want to explain what oneness is, or the dropping of seeking, you just don't feel anxious anymore. And you don't have this sense of self-consciousness. Like, you're not doubting yourself anymore. There's a very deep sureness, very deep, that you can't be shaken from anymore, because, well, you're everything.
Yeah, that's a hopeful message, isn't it? I mean, it's because I'm going back and forth between it being sort of, and again, I have to use words, empty or like cold or something. And then at the same time, when I'm turning towards and I'm hearing some, spiritual teachers, it's like, you are the light, and then it's ecstasy, then it's bliss,
It's
then
both. It's
Okay.
both, and that's where we can get kind of hung up. There's some reflectors that are saying it were absolutely nothing, but it's both. It's nothing and everything. You're formless and the form. You're infinity and the finite. You're the absolute appearing relative. So it's both. Yeah. And that's where like you're saying, the ecstasy, the bliss, the love, it's like that feminine aspect, matter, mother, it matters because this is God appearing as form. If we miss that part, we're very dissociated, detached, depressed, cold, and we feel like nothing matters. Right. But this is like a full on love affair with life. But there's a deep wisdom of recognizing this is all fleeting, like a dream. Like this is fleeting, fleeting, fleeting. You can't hold on to this. That's the joy of it, though, because there's no memory or self-consciousness going, God, that happened yesterday, 5 years ago, tainting your now, so to speak. It's just fresh and fresh and fresh and fresh, right? Immediate, direct experience. Yeah.
This is how I'm receiving, and I'm receiving that through you in that case, and then I in some way can glimpse that for myself, and in other ways, because I practice some Zen Buddhism, and I lived in a monastery for a while, and it's all about emptiness is form, form is emptiness. It's all about this. It's all about the circle. It's just like
that's the Heart Sutra, right? Isn't it the Heart Sutra or something like that?
Exactly. Yeah. And gate, para gate. So you go beyond, and beyond. So it doesn't, and it's that sort of ultimately surrenders. I think one word you can use, you surrender to that sort of urge to grab onto it. At least that was my experience. But it constantly keeps evolving. And I quickly ask you, because you were dropping the picture of the Garden of Eden. So is there even a fall from the garden then? Like,
it's imagined. We never ate the apple, if that's what you mean. The tree of knowledge is the whole, I'm going to eat the apple and no more go into mind. We never ate the apple, though. We're still dwelling in the garden, just pretending we're covered. You're naked, though. You're totally naked. It's just an imagination that we ate the apple and we've been casted out. You know what I mean? It's all all of this is imagination, if you want to say that. So it's when we become aware that we recognize, oh my gosh, like I am literally using my imagination and beliefs and thoughts to see myself casted out. It's not real, though. But that's why when you're aware, then you can start using these things as tools, like a paintbrush. Because really, that's the emptiness. When you recognize what you are, you're left with nothing. There's an emptiness. And then you just see this like a big catalog, a big God's library. What book am I going to dive into? You know what I mean? Because it's all just non-fictional reads.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fiction. Wait, which way does it go? Non-fiction, fiction. Which one's not real? Correct me. I'm confused right now. Is it?
So
fiction is...
Fiction is not real.
Thank you. Fiction. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah. Words.
I love it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, it can get weird sometimes. Yeah.
but so and what kind of, how you say, what kind of beautiful sort of imagery or scenery we've been basically dropped into. I mean, it's just I watched this Netflix documentary. It's called The Universe, narrated by Morgan Freeman. So I guess if the universe has a voice, it's got to be him.
Yeah, man. Come on now. He's God, right? And Bruce Almighty, he was God. So
it's some way, and it's the most spiritual thing I've ever seen. I'm telling you that. It's insane. And then it's really like what you're describing for me. I have another one in up my sleeve, another example that I want to use later on and ask you about it. But like the first one is really this documentary, because it was like, okay, so the sun, it's emanating energy. First of all, it's coming from somewhere. So it's, and then basically all those stars are, popping up, and they're feeding off the energy of the sun. Yeah. It's literally energy.
Yeah.
And this energy in different shapes and forms is being basically, soaked in from, objects on planet Earth, and then being, taking different shapes and stuff. But at the core, this is energy.
Yeah, we could say that for sure. Yeah, and you're quite like a sun. You are. Yeah, you're like a sun. What happens when the sun goes out? The whole solar system collapses.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
So the light of awareness is the sun. You're solar. That's why I use the word instead of soul, SOUL. That's from the dogmatic church. Take out the U, which is separation, and there's just SOL, which is soul, Spanish for sun. We're all soul. We're all sons of God. We are that.
Like you hear that, and it's just like it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, from time to time, I'm getting so sucked in sometimes. I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm
But you have the
moving around.
authority to stop that sucking in. But what's getting sucked in is something that's doubt, something's foundation that's shaking. But you, as that solar aspect, as awareness, if you will, it's strong, it's stable. But that's why we have the conviction. Because again, the body's been trained for lack, insecurity, all kinds of things, and the body displays those beliefs. Your body literally is a manifestation of like the subconscious programming, so to speak. So you see those things. You as awareness,
Yeah.
though, changes it. That's how it can shift. Or you could say this is your whole solar system starts to come into harmony and all of that because you're there. That's where this whole idea of like, I don't do anything with non-duality, or I just kind of sit around and things will magically just happen. No, there's obviously action. Look at us talking. I mean, there is definitely an active dynamic part. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just, and that's why this is a paradox and it can be shitty to talk about. It's just because everything goes on the same. Your passions, your inspirations, things that light you up, that you find delicious. It's just what drops is doubt, self-consciousness, which is always this fork in the road. Is that the right choice or not the right choice? Is this the right way or not the right way? It's just, there's this single vision. It's just, there's just a clarity when you come home to yourself, and there's the deep conviction that you're that, I am that.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
you are it.
so
Yeah.
yeah. So when we go emotions,
Oh, emotions happen. Sure. Yeah, I cry. I mean, all kinds of stuff appears here. Totally. All human emotions stay. It's just what drops is this, like the longevity of it, the how long it's lasting. So, for example, if you live through your mind or insecurity or self-consciousness, like something can happen and you'll just talk about it all day. You can't brush it off. It's just constantly you're playing the violin. You know what I mean? But when you're there as isness itself, it's like, okay, you can get in a car wreck. Someone could break up with you. Circumstantial things can arise, but you abide. Like that's faith. Faith is feeling. Faith is abiding. Faith is knowing what you are and you're being it. It's not, oh my God, I'm being moved around like a pawn on a chessboard with everything that happens externally. You abide because this shit is going to get crazy. It's going to test you, so to speak, because it's you testing you. There is only you. So when you abide in that, it's like, this might get weird because this is like a hologram, but it will revert to your stability, your sovereignty as source itself. It has to. It has to, because this is one.
Like I resonate with that, and then I basically I'm moving towards a concept of like the best therapy is really self-realization, or basically realizing anything of that sort. So what we're talking about, because it will, like you say, it will bring this deep sense of, again, words, clarity or peace or calmness or something, while everything's going crazy around us.
Could be. It doesn't have to be, but sometimes we've seen those accounts where things get rearranged. I mean, that's kind of a common thing, oh, I recognize what I was and my job fell away, or a lover fell away, because things have to shift when you're authentic. When you're finally the real you, of course things are going to change, because that which was not authentic has to go. Yeah.
And yes, but isn't that again then, because then I'm using, am I not doing some sort of like division there? Because then I say like, it's me, this indwelling being, self, whatever, and the outside, isn't that sort of...
You are the outside. That's you. You are the outside. There is only you. The subject is the object is the subject. There is no other. So what I'm really saying is your world is your body. There is nothing. There is nothing else. Just one, but appears as two. And it will still appear as two, because non-duality appears as duality. You'll never end that. What
Yeah,
we
it's
end
really
though is the self consciousness, and then there's just the self, which uses consciousness for its own expression.
yeah. I mean, without awareness, we're nothing. So I mean, I don't know, like, because I heard you talk about animals.
Yeah, yeah.
So before I'm starting to sort of like translate what I heard you say, what is it with animals that is that can be used as, you know, when we're talking about non-duality, that is sort of helpful to imagine some things or like to describe some things?
Yeah. So if you've ever been around your cat or your dog or a chicken or any kind of animal, they have no self-consciousness. They're fully here. Like they're fully here. They don't have self-consciousness. So they can't go into, oh my God, yesterday I got in a fight with so-and-so and oh my God, you know, they don't have that. I mean, it's just immediate, right? Now, obviously, if an animal, let's say, is abused over and over again, they'll start to remember that. Obviously, the body gets conditioned into that. But if just any natural, ordinary cat or dog, they're fully there. Like just there, it's just beingness. Or even like look at an infant, a newborn, just the seer, just beingness, no self-consciousness. Obviously, though, dogs don't have the ability like humans do to use the imagination, to go past into future, all of these types of things. So that's where the humans are a little different, right? But what I'm talking about is very similar to just that collapse into the immediacy of what is.
So it's not, I think, therefore I am.
Well, in a way, in your heart, I mean, no, truly, in a way, that's true. Yeah, I am as God. So if you say I am a piece of shit, that's going to seem to manifest.
Yeah, it does.
You're infinity, you know, you're alpha and omega. So you're the lowest vibration and the highest and beyond. So oneness does play in those murky stuff.
It's like, I don't know who said it, but basically something like, you know, everything is a bunch of zeros, and awareness or consciousness of that is the one on the left side
And
of those zeros, making it
sure, like
1,000
the
or
Matrix
billion,
code.
you know? Yeah.
Like the 0 1 0 1 0 1, which is we're here, we're not here simultaneously, masculine and feminine. Yeah, it's the Matrix. It's Matrix code. That's what this whole appearance is the emptiness and the everything, which we can't figure out logically. A finite mind can't understand the magic and mystery of infinity. Think about it. The finite can't understand infinity, but infinity uses the finite for its expression.
Yeah.
So we're screwed in that sense of trying to figure it out logically. Yeah.
So what's the? So yeah, it's really yeah. Like I said, you know, we are embarking on this journey of trying to fit it into words. But like, is there some sort of like? Would you say there's any advice, anything that you did? I mean, you, as you do already, pass on, you know, when we're speaking about this kind of things, people trying to navigate this, trying to wrap their head around, like, just stop wrapping your head around it, or what? What can we
Well,
do?
yeah, I mean, but that will stop when it stops. But I mean, there's no need to wait. Waiting implies time is real. You're waiting on yourself, your own conviction to claim your sovereignty and divinity. That's your birthright. But it's also your birthright to chase your own tail. So that's what I mean by it's your own conviction. There's a confidence that comes in with awareness where you just claim it. You own it. If you want to call it God, cool. If you want to call it consciousness, cool. But you are that. And you have to own it and claim it for it to be. That's the authority. That's your authority. You have that. I mean, there's no shame in any of those things, no insecurity in any of those things. That's what we are. All of us are that, you know? And that's where the gift of mind and time and the imagination, all of these tools come in. I mean, it's just, otherwise, again, you're nothing. All of this is Play-Doh. So you say what you are. And nobody has to agree with it because this is your story. This is your coloring book. And they're all right. They're all equal expressions. So my only advice would be to follow your heart because your heart is the guru. It is God. And you are that now. So trust yourself. Above all else, trust yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. it's really it's a deep paradox, but it's beautiful
Mm.
to be able to
Mm.
talk about it in that way, and in some
Yeah.
way then still embrace everything that's happening, and yeah, be in the world but not of it, I guess. Something that
Yeah, naturally. Yeah, totally.
something that happened with me that really helped me sort of experience this on a deeper level, or I don't know, make sense of it, was the headless way. Does that ring anything for you? No. So
No.
basically, it's like this technique of Douglas Harding, this philosopher, and he basically saw this drawing of
That
an. It's like it was a self-portrait of
and
the guy that was painting this picture, and it basically shows him in his in his office and as a POV. So you see
yeah.
his body um, sitting on the couch, and you see the room, and you see some sort of like the outline of his nose a little bit, just
Yeah.
how it would look like when we are looking out
Right.
of our eyes. And he's like, yes, I have no head. I'm looking out of this. I'm looking out of this
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
into the world. So
Yeah.
and then he started moving around his office, and he's like, are those objects, like, am I moving towards the objects, or are they moving through me? Like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Then he was
Yeah.
sitting on his bike riding through the city, and it's just like, I'm space for the world. Like, this
Amen.
is, you know. And then
Yeah.
he kept going down a rabbit hole of like, I have no head, and developing that headless way with all those self experiments which you can do,
Yeah.
driving through the city, and asking yourself those
Yeah.
questions, and it just becomes apparent, like, it's
Yeah.
I'm space for the world, and I have never
Yeah.
ever seen my face
Yeah.
or my
Yeah.
head. I
Yeah.
I see you and you see me, but
Yeah.
like, this is why this monologue thing and stuff, like, it made so much sense, because for me then I was really like, yes, like, my, even when I'm trying to arrange something, so I'm a musician on the side, like I'm playing guitar and stuff, like,
Cool.
when I'm writing a song, like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
It's just coming, there's
Yeah.
like it's a space, and stuff is arising in that space, and it's being expressed through me singing those songs. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
And
Infinity. Yeah. The source. Which you are too, though. You're not separate from that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not separate. Yeah, definitely not separate.
Yeah.
And that makes,
Yeah.
and then yoga for me made a
Yeah.
different kind of sense, like union, merger made a different kind of, and
Yeah.
then how I treat people,
Yeah.
it affected how I treat people. How is that for you? Like,
Yeah. Well, there's no codependency anymore, so I'm not a people pleaser. That fell away. But there's natural compassion and love, but there really is no other. So I used to try to people please a lot, because there's a lot of codependency issues and beliefs. That fell away. So if I don't resonate with you, I don't. And this one doesn't feel guilty or shameful for saying no to something or not wanting you in my friend circle or something like that. But before it'd be like, oh, well, love would do this and love would stretch to do that, be a doormat. So that dropped away. So there's a natural confidence of, if you aren't inspirational or serving my best self, then it's okay to cut you out of my life, so to speak, just like pruning a tree. There's no guilt in that. It's all about the beautiful natural growth for oneself. So, but there is still natural love and compassion and service and all of that arises, but people pleasing codependency fell away for sure, because that was pretty heavy here.
yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Mm.
It's really this, rose for me as well. This sort of, like, as soon as I'm somewhat established within me and there's no need, it's like unconditional. Like, I give because I want to give. I want to speak because I want to speak. And
Right.
the relationship with my partner, it's big time. I mean, it's really like unconditional. We throw that around a lot, but
Yeah, we do, don't we, right? God damn. It's starting to lose its meaning. What does that even mean? Yeah. No, I get you. Yes.
so it is. It's one of the biggest gifts to then, enjoy life's pleasures and do all that,
Yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
it's out there, and
Yeah.
create out of that space
Yeah.
for the world. It's really
Yeah.
that. I have no
But your
head.
world is your world, and that's the beautiful thing. Is so you're serving yourself. Everywhere you go, you're serving yourself. You know what I mean? Even if what that service looks like is a closed door, that's still a service. You know what I mean? Because life knows what to say to life and when to say it. And sometimes it's tough love, sometimes it's gooey romantic love. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of what we are. It's not just this Mother Teresa type of consciousness or expression. Infinity means infinite. So God expresses in whatever way it wants to express with whatever is appearing, so to speak. And I think that's where we can get hung up a lot on the spiritual, non-dual, whatever kind of path we think we're on. There is no path. You are the path. You are everything. But we can get hung up on this kind of poster child of what enlightenment looks like. But again, you're everything. So sassiness can appear, cussing can appear, sexiness can appear, compassion, deep, deep service. Anything can appear because it's infinite. It's boundless. So that's the one thing I can say too that drops are those shackles of, well, this is what an enlightened being would look like.
Yeah.
That has no meaning. Like, what does that even mean? So it's just such an openness back to that unconditional, like there's no conditions. And we don't know what that is through the mind. We only know it by being it. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think the mind is beautiful. I mean,
oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted now with artificial intelligence and whatnot coming up, and them just like trying to even come even close, even close to what we were born with, and the device that we were given to, I don't know, build rockets and fly to the moon and stuff. Like the mind is, I think,
Yeah.
a brilliant tool, and not
Yeah.
to basically make
Yeah.
enemies with it. And I don't know,
Right.
it's
Right.
I don't know, it's yeah, I that's how I'm looking at it. But and something that came up when you were talking, it's really this, you can't fight your way to harmony, basically, if you're constantly trying to make something happen and trying to attain this, then yeah, it's really clinging or resisting to what is actually happening. And the purpose of life is life, isn't it?
It's just this, man. Just being yourself, which is this is beingness appearing as you. So yeah, it's just, yeah, when you rest finally in yourself and there's that natural acceptance of what you are, it's pretty cool to be you. Yeah, I mean,
it is, and then you see it everywhere. Honestly, like I'm yet to see Avatar 2, but
oh yeah, dude, looks pretty cool, right? I haven't seen it yet either.
But people like, there's like a German rapper, and he said basically a translation is basically who he is, and who sees. So if you you can look at that movie and say, okay, it's a bunch of space and sci-fi or whatnot, but
cool.
people understood something and put it into beautiful art or whatever it is, and express their understanding of their divinity and the oneness.
It's beautiful. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm a hopeless romantic with that kind of stuff. At the same time, I'm
Me too, man. So cheesy sometimes, right? It's okay.
It is, but but like you said, compassion and an understanding of like where people around you are that I'm caring about and stuff. It's just some people, like I won't get my dad to, I'm not going to talk about him about those kind of things like we do, but at the same time, doing what I can do with me to then show up for him in a different way, changed everything, to be honest. Everything.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. For sure, man. It's beautiful.
So, is there anything you feel like you wanna add, you wanna talk about, you wanna speak about, you wanna?
I love you. You're powerful. My goodness, you're way more powerful than you could think. when you pull back into yourself, into your heart of awareness, I mean, you will see this. I mean, my goodness, doesn't matter what you're going through, a negative bank account, you lost your kid, your car, your hair, it doesn't matter. You can see this through. You have the power to not create worlds, but shift your world within you now. You are paradise appearing as a person. I have no doubt about what you are. And once you recognize what you are, which is here now, looking through your beautiful eyes, who you are can naturally start to shift. All right. But it starts with you. And who you are is the divine, just really, really, really dressed up in a great costume. Rock it. It's fleeting.
I love it.
Mm.
Thank you. I
Yeah, thank
deeply
you.
appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
And even more that you chose to spend some time with me today,
Oh my gosh,
with our
yeah.
listeners, to get your beautiful
Yeah.
message across. It really means a lot. I told you, but I want to tell also the audience again that this is just a blessing, and I'm very grateful. And I will, do all the housekeeping and letting people know how they can find you. But,
Okay.
also how, asking you, how can we find you? How can we get in touch with you?
All right. Well, the easiest place is to go to www.wonderfullynothing.com. You can find me on YouTube under Anna Brown or Instagram at Animated Anna. So there's quite a few places there. So yeah, you can find me there, guys. But you can always find me in the heart of what is, because I am you and you are me. And my love, we are free.